talking about why building collapse. Another thing I'm going to talk about under design philosophy is your choice of slab, because this is going to decide the configuration of your beams, even the configuration of your columns. I see a lot of people do rib slab, some do solid slab, some do flat slab, some do waffle slab. So the choice of slab is very important. There are slabs that are very effective in load reduction. For instance, if you're considering rib slab, it is very possible that you're going to have a reduced dead load. If you're also considering waffle slab, you're also going to have a reduced dead load. So this is very important. Also, if you're considering flat slab, it's also important for you to know that in the aspect of flat slab, there are so many things to consider, because I've seen a lot of instances where a slab collapsed but the column is still standing. What is the cause of that? It is poor design. So when you're designing for multi-story on the foundation where the soil is poor, it's important for you to reduce the dead load. So your choice of slab is very important. Go for slabs that will at least reduce your dead load by, even if it is 10%, that is a whole lot. Even if it is 5%, that is a whole lot. So these are the things you need to consider. Another thing I want to talk about, C, under design philosophy, is column configuration. Your architect should not decide the column configuration for you. No, that is wrong. Architect shouldn't decide for you. Architect can propose, maybe because of function, because of the purpose of what they need a particular floor area for, But you as a structural engineer, if you check it and it doesn't work, you have to do what works and call the attention to it. This is important. I have seen a situation where a structural designer said he wanted to put the column here, but architect said no, you cannot put the column. And he checked, there was no other place to do it. So you should not be restrained by all of these things. Okay, if you're a good designer and you discover that, okay, this thing cannot work this way, you call the architect and say, this is what can work. This is your own fee, this is your own area of jurisdiction. It's not for the architect to decide for you. So you call the attention to it, because some of these architects do not have the idea of structural design. That is why I say a good architect should have an idea of structural engineering. The same thing with a structural engineer. A good structural engineer should have an idea of architecture. This will help you to blend. Your column configuration is very important. In as much as we're looking at purpose, we should also look at safety. So the two things should equate. So number D, under design philosophy, don't forget we started with percentage of steel to concrete, which is A. B, we talked about the ground floor. C, we talked about the choice of your slab. And D, we talked about column configuration. Now we are talking about E, foundation. Your choice of foundation. I discovered, particularly in the island aspect of Lagos. Sorry, I'm using Lagos as a case study because this is where we have the most problem. Island area of Lagos, there is limited land and it is very expensive. So if you're able to get a particular portion of land, you will want to utilize it to the latter. So you see somebody buying a land and is putting up to 6-7-story building. There's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing. You can put even if it is 20, but you must be very careful with your foundation designs. Very careful. Okay, so in situations like this where you're building where the soil is very poor, don't forget, before you embark on a building project, call a structural engineer to advise you first, because the moment architect is done with his design, the next guy is the structural engineer. The structural engineer cannot do anything without having the soil report. So it is mandatory that you do a soil investigation for that very land you're about to build on, so that you will know all the parameters of that soil, as it's going to affect your type of foundation. The parameters of that soil is going to decide the choice of foundation. Soil investigation is very important. Don't say you want to use the soil report of the other man to do here. The formation underneath, these different soil strata underneath are not the same. That is why even our code suggests in a particular area of land, you have to take this number of points. It is possible that what you have at this point may not be the same for the other point. It's important for you to take random points. So I'm not going to give you the detail. I'm just telling you what is needed. Make sure you get somebody to do you a soil investigation analysis. That will decide your choice of foundation. The moment you are going beyond one floor, be very responsible. Get somebody to do a soil test for you. For those of you who are buying lands in the island where there is no good soil until you go up to 30, 15, whatever depth before you start having stable soil formation. So please, this is very important. And again, after a foundation construction has been done, please ensure to do a pile load test. I'm going to just mention two of them. One of the tests you can do is pile static load test. We subject it to that load we are expecting it to carry, and we had some factor of safety. Then we now observe the behavior of those piles. Okay, there is a limit to which that pile should settle. Once it meets that quiet limit, you are good to go. Okay, there is also what we call pile integrity test, PIT. Okay, the essence of that test is to help you, maybe in the course of casting, you are dealing with sand. There may be some kind of things happening under there. There may be some collapse, okay, and you may not know. So pile integrity test will show you if you're having a good section all through the length you're looking for. You understand? So that if there is any problem along a pile, and you observe a problem within the pile, you can now do a pile static load test on that very pile. If it passes, good. If it doesn't pass, there are recommendations. There are things you can do. If you want to know, you can contact me. It's not everything I will tell you here. I will just give you general knowledge.